It's a chilly morning in the southern Italian town of Bari. The crowd is gathering in front of the job centre. Unemployment is on the rise in Italy. Young people are the worst hit by the crisis, which is particularly affecting the textile and furniture industries in the south. Many companies only hand out part-time contracts. Others opt for redundancy fund schemes or have to close down. The number of people working on the black labour market is on the rise. For many young people, illegal jobs represent their first and only work experience.
I've only ever worked on the black market. I got my first job in 2006. I worked in a wellness centre for 6 years. I never signed a contract, they just called me in when they needed me. When they didn't need me, they didn't call me. I got €500 a month, working 4 hours a day every day, including Saturdays.
I worked on markets in a butcher shop. I sold ham and meat. I worked as a mechanic, as a carpenter too. Always black labour, without any contract. I earned 100 or 80 euros per week.
For years, youth unemployment in Italy stood anywhere between 20 and 25%. That was bad enough compared to 10% in the Netherlands, for instance. But today, youth unemployment has peaked at 37%. Working on the black market means you can get hired and fired on the spot. You have no social security, no pension schemes, no judicial protection if your employer fails to pay you.
I've been coming here to the employment office since I was 19. I'm 28 now. I've had lots of negative experiences. It's impossible to find any work. I change jobs every 5 minutes without any long-term prospects. Most of the work you find here is on the black market. I'm now in my late 20s. I can't go on like that. I took illegal work in a company distributing advertising flyers and whatever else I could find. They never paid at the end of the month. They always paid several months later. And when they did, it was never what you expected. Always less. It's hard.
Ida has been working at the job centre for decades. She says the abusive use of redundancy fund schemes creates a vicious circle that feeds the black labour market. More and more companies are turning to these schemes, leaving employees in a limbo between work and unemployment. Many people turn to the black market.
There's a huge number of people working on the black market. The redundancy fund scheme is de facto a mechanism which encourages people to work illegally. Under these technical unemployment schemes, employees get 700 or 800 euros a month. At the same time, they work on the black market. There are cases, I won't mention any names, of people who've been getting redundancy fund payment, as well as other kinds of social benefits for more than 20 years. Those people get redundancy payment while at the same time working illegally on the black market.
In these times of crisis, business turnover in Bari, a heavily industrialized area, has nearly dropped by half, according to Vito Belladonna, a researcher on black market activities in the Puglia region. He too observes massive abuse when it comes to redundancy fund schemes. According to him, black labour represents 40% of the total labour market.
The drop in turnover means many bosses either fire their employees or set up illegal labour schemes. Or both. First they fire their employees, then they get them to carry on doing exactly the same work illegally.
This group of medical workers are a prime example. They claim that for the past decade, they have been trapped in a system of social buffers, leaving them on the margins of the labour market. So who's to blame? The Puglia region has invested massively in education. How come this hasn't led to jobs?
It's true that a lot of money was invested into education, including funds from the European Union, the Italian government, and regional money too. But there's a problem. The world of education and training doesn't match the requirements of the labour market and of the business community.
Martina is a photographer. She's preparing an exhibition on young job seekers. Two of her models are Claudio, a sailor, and Michele, a mechanic. To help young unemployed people like them, the EU wants to launch a so-called youth guarantee scheme, which would open up closed labour markets to newcomers.
Offering a job or new training 4 months after having finished school sounds like a very good idea, but it's not very realistic given the difficult times we're going through.
In my opinion, this proposal by the European Union is a very good idea. It offers a chance to enter the job market at least a few months after school or training. Most of us youngsters often have to wait 1 or 2 years before we find some kind of job offer. That's why the European Youth Guarantee is an excellent idea.
While much of southern Italy's traditional manufacturing industry is suffering from globalization, for some companies it represents new opportunities. Black Shape is one of them. This startup exports ultralight airplanes and has ambitious growth plans. Warehouse manager Vito Botalico backed up what he learnt in school with internships and got a full-time contract.
When I was a child, I loved building aeroplane models. From early morning till late in the evening, I played with them. I put them together, undid them, built them over and over again. My dream was, and still is, to assemble. Doing an internship helps you get a foot into the labour market. With internships, you combine theory, practice and work, and that combination is the basis of everything.
Elections are nearing. What should the next government do to get Italy's labour market back on track?
We need clear rules. Illegal labour needs to be curbed. Tax evasion has to be brought down because it destroys the government's access to tax revenue. And the companies that do their job properly and create jobs should get some kind of bonus.
One of the solutions is to reduce labour costs for companies, according to the president of Puglia-based company Mermec, a world leader in rail inspection and diagnostics.
Nationwide, Puglia is the region that invests most European funds into research and innovation. And that leads to good results. While throughout Italy, and especially in southern Italy, the employment rate is down, in Puglia it's gone up.
These may be the figures. The problem is they don't take into account those tens of thousands of people stuck in limbo, parked in redundancy fund schemes and often turning to illegal work.
If no jobs are created, what can we do? I am a worker. Without work, I cannot buy anything. Nothing. All politicians are concerned about is their own wealth. But nobody talks about job creation. If they created jobs, that would boost consumer power and the euro. I'm not talking about the old Italian lira, but about the euro. That would help the economy recover.
In recent budget negotiations, EU leaders earmarked €6 billion to open up the labour market to young people. Italy should receive a considerable amount, but it will be up to the next government to make sure the money is well spent.